When the first astronauts left Earth's atmosphere, they expected to see the endless sands of the Sahara, but instead, they were staring at something else, something gigantic, perfectly circular, and eerily similar to a human eye. The structure is so massive that it's impossible to fully grasp from the ground. But the strangest part isn't its size, it's how closely it matches a legend that's more than 3,000 years old. What if Atlantis was always right in front of us, and we were just looking in the wrong place? Today on World Curious, we're uncovering the mystery of the Eye of the Sahara. Most of us are used to looking for Atlantis at the bottom of the ocean. But what if we made a mistake by taking the word sank too literally? Back in 360 BC, the philosopher Plato described the capital of Atlantis with such precision that it sounds more like a police report than a myth. And when you overlay that description onto the Eye of the Sahara, the similarities start to feel unsettling. Plato said the city was made up of concentric circles, 3 rings of water and 2 rings of land. Now look at the Risha structure. This isn't just a random circle in the desert. It's a sequence of perfectly shaped rings, formed by the Earth itself. From above, it looks like the fingerprint of a giant. But to Plato, this was the layout of the greatest city ever built. Now let's talk numbers. Plato claimed the diameter of Atlantis' central island was 27 stadia. Converted into modern measurements, that's roughly 5 kilometers. And do you know the diameter of the central circle of the Eye of the Sahara? Almost exactly 5 kilometers. The odds of a coincidence like that happening naturally are incredibly small, but that's not all. Plato also wrote that the city was surrounded by mountains to the north, while a vast plain stretched south toward the sea. If you look at a satellite map of Mauritania, that's exactly what you see: a mountain range shielding the eye from the north, and flat land opening up to the south. Even more interesting, geologists confirm that thousands of years ago, the Sahara wasn't a desert. Rivers flowed here, and the ocean was far closer to this structure than it is today. So case closed, right? We found it. Not so fast. Modern scientists insist the structure is 100 million years old, meaning no Atlanteans could have built it. But if it's just geology, why does the Eye of the Sahara so stubbornly look like something man-made? The answer may lie in space, or in the absence of it. For a long time, scientists didn't even argue about it. If there's a giant circle with sharp edges in the middle of a desert, then something must have crashed there. The meteorite theory seemed bulletproof. It all sounded logical. An impact of unimaginable force instantly vaporizes rock, leaving behind a massive scar. But when geologists finally reached the center of the eye in the 1960s, they were in for a disappointment. A meteorite impact always leaves 2 clear signatures: extreme pressure and instant heat. That combination turns ordinary sand into a special kind of glass and creates what's known as shocked quartz, a mineral with a distorted crystal structure. But in the Richet structure, it isn't there, not a single gram. Even more puzzling, the bottom of the crater turned out to be flat, and the rings weren't ejecta thrown outward by an explosion. They were layers of rock that had somehow been pushed upright. A meteorite would have crushed them, not neatly rearranged them. So maybe it was an ancient supervolcano? Nope, that doesn't work either. Volcanoes have vents and distinctive volcanic rocks. Scientists found plain limestone and sandstone instead. So what is it? Geologists came up with an explanation that sounds even stranger. The Eye of the Sahara is basically a geological pimple on the planet. Imagine this. About 100 million years ago, a massive bubble of molten magma began rising from deep within the earth. It never broke through the surface, but it pushed it upward, inflating the land like a giant dome, about 40 kilometers across. Then the magma cooled and sank back down, and the dome slowly collapsed. Over millions of years, wind and rare rainfall shaved off the top of this bubble, layer by layer, exposing the internal rings. This process is known as anticlinal erosion. It all sounds neat and scientific. But if this is just rocks and wind doing their thing, why is the area literally littered with signs of human activity? If this isn't Atlantis, then why did thousands of Stone Age people live inside this dead eye for centuries? The answer to that question is buried beneath the sand. Archaeologists working inside the Eye of the Sahara were stunned. They've found thousands of arrowheads, hand axes, and stone tools. This isn't just a temporary camp used by a few nomads. It's evidence of large-scale human presence lasting for thousands of years. To understand what people were doing here, we need to rewind time 10 to 12,000 years. During the Neolithic subpluvial period, the Sahara wasn't a hell of sand. It was a paradise. Savannas filled with elephants and hippos, vast lakes, powerful flowing rivers. Research suggests that the rings of the eye of the Sahara may have acted as natural animal traps, or perfect shelters for humans. The reshot structure even had its own microclimate. And this is where conspiracy theorists get excited again. 12,000 years ago is exactly the time Plato claimed Atlantis was destroyed. A coincidence? Maybe. But there's one detail that breaks the entire theory. The artifacts we find belong to Stone Age cultures. There are no remains of golden temples, massive walls, or advanced technologies. Just stone and bone. So why did people cling to this place for so long? The answer might be simpler and more complex than it seems. The Eye of the Sahara is a natural fortress. Its high rings offered protection from wind and enemies, and the center may have held sources of fresh water. If Atlantis really was here, maybe it didn't look like a futuristic city from a comic book. Maybe it was simply the most powerful settlement of its time. And over thousands of years of retelling, its memory turned into a legend. But if we haven't found ruins, does that mean they aren't there? The Sahara is a vast graveyard, perfectly capable of hiding its secrets beneath hundreds of meters of sand. And what we see today may be just the tip of the iceberg. The Eye of the Sahara remains one of the most majestic and most controversial places on our map. Nature created the shape, and humans gave it meaning. Was it Plato's Atlantis, or simply the perfect place for ancient people to survive? That's for each of us to decide. But one thing is certain. The Sahara isn't done telling its story yet. So what do you choose? A beautiful legend or cold, hard science? Drop your theories in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to World Curious.